Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this is Hannah Simone. She is an actor, a producer, a podcaster, a human rights advocate. You probably know her best as Cece from your favorite show, New Girl, and other works as well, like Miss India America and the podcast. Welcome to our show. She is now back in primetime with a brand new series co-starring heavyweights like Gina Rodriguez and Lauren Ash. It's the ABC comedy called Not Dead Yet. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. It's been such a pleasure, so much fun. I get the privilege of having watched the first 5 episodes of this show, and I'm so excited now for everybody else to see it. I love all of the guest stars and all of the fun surprises and twists that this show takes. But I know why I like the show. I want to ask you, what was it that drew you to this really unique? It's a workplace comedy with a twist. What was it that drew you to this show?
I read the pilot and it had so many of the things that I look for and I really love. It had so much heart. It was really honest about what it's like to be a mess and hold it all together and have work-life balance. And it just let all the characters kind of fall apart a little bit. And there was so much truth in it, which was really wonderful. It made me laugh out loud when I read it. But it also got me very emotional, which surprised me. So that was one thing that really drew me to it. And then the other was Gina Rodriguez. Jake had just done a project with her, Jake, who I worked with on New Girl, Jake Johnson. And so I know that if you're lucky enough, you can be on a show and be around those people for a very, 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 very long time. So you want to make sure that they're wonderful, nice people off screen too, because you hang out a lot, you become family. So I texted him and was like, tell me the truth. Tell me about Gina. And he texted me back and said, run to work with her. She's the best. And she's just the most incredible, kind, funny, talented, wonderful person, off camera and obviously on camera. So that just sealed the deal for me. And it's strong female friendships. It's honest female friendships, which was one of the things I love so much about New Girl. And it kind of has that same feel in this show. Yeah, there's so many things. I really couldn't say no.
I'm with you on all of that. I love one of the things I thought was so interesting about this show and seeing you in that role as the best friend again, but in such a different kind of context, is that this is a show about friendship that has really changed and the ways that we grow apart from each other and come back together, and the dynamics are different. It's a more tense kind of a friendship, but still really beautiful, right? And it feels like that's something that comes out of being in a different stage in your life. What was it? I mean, I want to know like what you drew on in your own life, looking at friendships and looking at the ways you kind of come in and out of love with people, love with your friends.
Yeah, that was what was super interesting to me about how honestly they kind of wrote that awkward dynamic initially, because I think that my character and Gina's character, Sam and Nell, they were best friends, like that wonderful codependent best friendship you have when you're young, where that person is your whole world. And they were like personally on the same track, professionally on the same track. And then Gina's character leaves. She goes and chases a man, right? She falls in love. And I feel like, and you see this in the series, that you see my character share that she was kind of hurt and felt abandoned and she didn't have anyone. And then she finds a new friendship in Lexi. And Lexi, played by the incredible Lauren Ash, was kind of Nell's arch nemesis. And then Nell comes back into the picture and just assumes that I'm going to ditch this friend and buddy up with her. But when you grow up, that's not what happens. You don't just throw people away, right? And so Nell has to grow up a little bit. And my character has to be honest about the fact that it hurt her to have her friend just leave. and they have to repair and evolve. And then they have to understand this new friendship dynamic, which means they have to mature. And I think that's what's become so relatable when you watch the show. And we talked about it a lot on set, about having those moments where you had to, be a big girl and learn how to be around people that maybe you don't like, but the person you love loves, and work through it. There's so many interesting themes in this show like that. I know it's called Not Dead Yet, and we have these great guest stars that come in to play these ghosts, and there's that whole aspect of it. But the heart of this show, I've said this from the beginning, is the love story between Nell and Sam, and these two women who love each other, and things have changed. And now they have to love the new versions of each other.
Yeah, and as without giving anything away from episode to episode, you see it teases out kind of why these hurts have occurred and why things aren't quite the same, and building back that intimacy, which is you don't always get to see that on television, and you don't always get to see that in a situation comedy. But when you're talking about a situation comedy that's also about death, maybe then you do get, I mean, there's that element of it that's really also very much about grief, and not just about writing obituaries, but about losses, whether it's friendship or whether it's something else as well. I love that you've been in shows that are called New Girl and then Not Dead Yet, which feels like very much about phases in your life. You are now in your
Right.
40s, right? I mean, this is where you, like, I feel like the two ages of women in Hollywood, right? Maybe it's New Girl and Not Dead Yet. You're in your 40s, your co-stars are over 35. Is this a different moment in entertainment where that kind of visibility for women has changed, where we're seeing more women over 30, over 35, even over 40, taking on these kinds of leading roles?
I mean, this is where representation matters. I have been so lucky to be on female-led shows with female creators who want to tell their stories. And so Elizabeth Merriweather, when she did New Girl, that was about that chapter in her life at that age, and she got to write what she knew. And thankfully, she was given that chance and opportunity as a woman to lead the show, and she hired women to help tell that story. And the same thing, David and Casey created this show, and Casey is this incredible, strong, beautiful woman who tries to have this work-life balance in her real life. And she got to infuse that in the show. So that's why in all aspects, whether it's gender or age or race, or how you identify, it matters when who gets to be the showrunners and tell the stories, because then it gives actors who look different the opportunity then to play those roles. So slowly it's changing. Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely, little by little. It's great. It's been, I mean, just seeing the evolution in just the past decade on television has been really exciting. And when I think about that, or I think about like your own career over the past couple of years, you were back in prime time. There were a couple of times where you were almost back in prime time. And this is a show that is also about resilience and about coming back from disappointments and near misses and things that didn't work out. And I'm wondering what you have brought from those experiences to this role and to this show, because you've had things not turn out the way that we thought they were going to the past couple of years.
Here's what I've learned to really trust about this industry is that you don't want a role or a show that you're not right for, or the show isn't quite right yet. You don't want that. And so those things kind of go away. So if I'm up for a part and it goes to someone else, I don't ever take that personally. That person obviously is the better fit. Great. When I think about New Girl, I actually tested for a pilot the year before for a show. And this is before I had learned that lesson of like, what's meant for me will be meant for me. I'll be the right choice and they won't be able to avoid it. So I'll get it. And I tested all the way up and I didn't get it. And that show got picked up and it ran for a year over what was where the New Girl casting was. So if I had gotten that role, I never would have been able to go and audition for New Girl. And the casting director from that is the one who remembered me and had me go in for New Girl, right? I then booked New Girl. That show got canceled like a month later. So I spent that whole year feeling sad, thinking I've missed this show that I was supposed to be on. But thank goodness, because if I had been on that show, I never would have gotten New Girl. And I think about that all the time with Not Dead Yet. When this show came to me, it was instant family. Forget how great this show is, and it's great, and it tells important stories, and it makes people who watch it feel seen in their grief, in their mess, in all their awkwardness and weirdness. It captures it and tells it so beautifully. It's great escapism television with a heart. But for me personally, meeting Josh and Gina and Lauren and all of the cast, Angela and Rick, we've become such close friends. I saw everybody this week, different places. I was at Gina's house. I went to a party with Lauren. I went out with Josh. If any of those things that had happened in between New Girl and now had been picked up, I never would have formed these friendships that now are so meaningful in my life. I wouldn't have gotten to tell so many of these great stories that Not Dead Yet gets to tell. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I got to kind of like make new relationships along the way with different studios and different networks and all of that, and get to kind of figure out what kind of stories I like to tell and grow up as a person. And then this was obviously so meant to be, because I know just personally those people are supposed to be in my life. So I feel very fortunate.
Hannah, the way you talk about the people you work with, you're clearly such a friend's friend. You're clearly a friendship person. I mean, you just light up when you talk about the people you work with, and you light up when you talk about your friends, and you have these ongoing relationships with your New Girls castmates. And yet you also, when I look on your Instagram, you describe yourself as an indoor cat. You describe yourself as an introvert. I want to know how someone who's an indoor cat and an introvert, where you overcome that kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say for myself that sometimes fear of getting out there in the world and putting yourself out there. How do you do that? How do you balance those things?
I don't. I don't put myself out in the world. I don't put myself out there at all. I think I've just been I have a very small, tight friend circle. And it's so funny on these shows, these two, New Girl and now on Not Dead Yet, people are like, how did you guys grow the chemistry? The chemistry of the cast is so great. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Either you meet somebody and you have instant, undeniable chemistry without a word spoken. You just know it. You know that feeling when you're like, oh, that's just one of my people. And I had it on New Girl, and I have it on this show in spades. And the great thing about meeting someone where you have instant chemistry with them is they accept you and love you exactly how you are. Lauren knows if we're going to like hang out, it's going to be at my house. We're going to be in pajamas. We're going to be sitting on my couch watching a show together. Like, that's what it's going to look like. Same with Gina. Like, I'm going to go to her house and sit on her couch and it's going to be the two of us. You know, they accept me for who I am. Or if they invite me to a big party and I go like, and they'll always end it, which is my favorite thing, being like, but fully respect you don't like to leave your house. We love you. We just didn't want you to not be invited. We know you'll say no. That's love. Those are the best kind of friends.
That is the perfect friendship. Okay, I have to ask you one more question, which is you talked about your podcast and revisiting this show that you were on over a decade ago now. New Girl's been off the air for 5 years now, 6 years now. What is it like returning to these episodes and seeing them now as an outsider and looking at them the way that many of us have been looking at them for years? What's changed for you in that experience of watching this show?
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because there's a whole new fan base that's discovered the show. I think during COVID, a lot of people found comfort in it because they were at home. And it became all of a sudden a bingeable show, which when New Girl originally aired on Fox, it was week to week. And then you'd have to wait, 5-6 months for the new season. And it went on for 7 years. It's not how it was consumed. And now people are like watching it in a weekend, which I'm like, are you okay? That's a lot. That's a lot of TV. We did a lot of episodes. So they intimately know the show and the world so deeply, so fast, not over this big span of time. When I watched the show, I watched it kind of as we shot it. So I haven't watched season 1 for whatever that is, 12 years. So we decided because we were getting so many questions with everybody newly finding the show or rewatching the show and binging it. We were getting so many questions about the show. And we were like, we should make this podcast and we should actually rewatch it. So Zooey, Lamorne, and I have a podcast called Welcome to Our Show. And we're watching it kind of for the first time because I don't know about you, but I can't remember things I did 12 years ago.
I can't remember things I did 12 days ago.
That's right. 12 minutes ago. So I feel like it's so funny. Every single time we come on to record, we look at each other like, we remember nothing of this episode. And we get to watch it as fans and be like, this is so funny. And we call and we text like the guest stars, the writer, the directors on that show. And we get all of this, information, which then sparks your memory. We get to share so many like funny behind the scenes things that happened. New Girl's really good.
It's really good.
I'm rewatching it and I'm like, wow, I get why so many people love it because I can now watch it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, it's that magic secret sauce of great chemistry, and when you have a great cast that comes together, which now you get to experience again on Not Dead Yet. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so excited for this new show to be out there in the world and open up these conversations about love and friendship and death, and being messy, right, Hannah?
Yeah, exactly. It's all of those things. I truly hope people see in the show what I saw in it because I love it. I truly, truly love it.
Wow, congratulations, Hannah, and thank you so much for talking to us today. The show is called, if you can't miss it, it's right behind you. It's called Not Dead Yet, and it's on ABC. Thank you so much, Hannah. Simone, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.